Yeah, I know, I haven't done a review in a while. Oh well, Time Hollow. Time Hollow is a DS game made by Tenki, which is a developer you probably have never heard of, so let's just say it was made by Konami instead. That way you could go into the corner and jack off to memories of Metal Gear Solid and Turtles in Time. Unfortunately, it was released in 2008, and everyone was going crazy over Professor Wright and Phoenix Layton back then, so Time Hollow kind of slipped under the good game radar. In this game, you play as the young teenager Ethan Kairos. It's your 16th birthday, and Time Paradox has shown up to the party. It even got you a present. Dead parents. Basically, Ethan wakes up one day to find that his parents died when he was very young, which is kind of awkward considering he just had dinner with them yesterday. It turns out that someone changed the past, and Ethan is the only one who could remember that. He finds the Hollow Pen, a family heirloom which has the ability to open up holes into the past. Why a pen? Because Konami couldn't think of any other way to write the DS stylus into the story. Time Hollow is another visual novel, so before you start complaining about lack of gameplay and walls of text, hear this argument out. Shut up. Just shut up. Outside of reading the story and making choices here or there, the majority of the gameplay is a time travel-based puzzle. Ethan has to run around his town and try to figure out how time has changed. And you do this by listening to the town gossip, researching past newspaper articles at the library, or talking to your unfortunately stupid named friends. Once Ethan figures out how the past was changed, he has to find a way to fix the tragic consequences of that change. And trust me, they are always tragic. Who'd have thought losing a puppy as a kid would lead you to murder a police officer 7 years later? Did I mention there were spoilers in this review? Ethan, i.e. you, can use the Hollow Pen, i.e. stylus, to open a window into the past, i.e. Chrono Trigger Time Travel Clusterfuck. Then you can reach through and alter the past scene, which is frozen in time and will restart when you're done fucking with it. For example, if someone gets into a car crash by swerving out of the way of a dog, you could remove the dog from the scene to prevent the crash from ever happening. However, you could also cut the engine to the car, or delay the driver somehow, or anything you really want to do. Just beware, because tampering with the past has unforeseen consequences in the future, and these consequences will always come back to bite you in the ass and make you your own grandma. Now, the game tries to make itself appear open-ended, but it's really a pretty linear story. Though your actions can lead you to multiple endings and you can solve certain problems in multiple ways, the chapters are pretty much all the same, and you'll encounter the same time problems every time you play through the game. That being said, the time puzzles are pretty unique and fun to solve at the very least, so at least your first playthrough will be fun. Of course, the high point of any visual novel game is the story, and Time Hollow has a great story. For anyone who's a fan of time travel. Otherwise, the story may just infuriate you. Let me explain. One of the best parts of the story is when you meet the antagonist who also has a Hollow Pen. Unfortunately, you can't fight him directly. You have to play a Bill and Ted style time travel game where one time traveler tries to outsmart the other. This guy doesn't kill your friends. He makes it so that your friends die in horrible ways that can't even be traced to him. So then you try and fix it, but then he goes back and kills them again and frames you for the murder. So now you have to go back and prevent their death, and prevent him framing you without directly interacting with him. And this is just the beginning of the game. Eventually, you're going to have to go back in time to make sure the villain Will Have hadn't gone to himself, to have Will hadn't gone back to himself again, to prevent himself from murdering someone in the past so that he might murder someone else in the future from the past. If you can dissect that sentence, then Time Hollow is the game for you. Time Hollow's art and music are really worth mentioning. It has some of the best anime cutscenes in a DS game, or any game for that matter. The music is also pretty good, and combined with the art style, Time Hollow kind of feels like an interactive anime. And that's what's so good about it. But if there's anything bad about Time Hollow, it's that it's short, which is ironic for a game based on time travel. I beat the game in a little less than 2 days, though admittedly I was playing obsessively. Afterwards, I was able to go through again and alter my choices, but the altered scenes and endings really weren't worth a whole other playthrough. There was no fast-forward function here, so I got a little bored when I was going through the entire story all over again. Time Hollow is listed on Amazon for $25 with free shipping. Is it worth it? Maybe. It's too bad there aren't many places that will allow you to rent a DS game these days. You should play it if you get the chance, but I'm not entirely convinced this is one of those games you should proudly display as part of your library. It's a great game, really, and in my opinion a work of art. But it's just so short, it makes the $25 feel a little bit wasted. But honestly, if you're looking for more good visual novel games, it's 25,000 pennies well spent. Besides, you could always go back in time after you play it to prevent yourself from buying it. Time Paradox!